We got a whole bunch of stuff going on today. I want to start off this video by thanking you guys so much for 1,000 subscribers. It took almost 2 years, a little over 2 years. I've had this channel since 2019 October. I don't think I really uploaded until like July of the following year when I bought the Accord and I made my first video. I never expected to get this far, to be honest. I just kept doing it because it was fun. And as I kept growing the channel, I kept getting more and more motivated. And now we're at 1,000 subscribers. That's a huge, huge milestone. And I just want to thank you guys so much for that. And in this video, we got a bunch of big stuff planned. This isn't the 1,000 subscriber special. If you guys have any ideas as to what I should be doing for the 1,000 subscriber special, comment down below. Whatever you guys want to see, I'll try to make it happen. Not only that, but I will be picking the super clean giveaway winner in this video. So stay tuned for that. That'll probably be about halfway through. I gotta go run an errand. I should be getting some custom steel plates made up for the Firebird subframe here. It's just been sitting outside. Gonna get these plates made up right now. Old friend from school has like this laser CNC machine table, so hopefully we can get it done nice, cheap, and fast. And then I gotta show you guys the bobber, because I got bored yesterday and I painted it, and it looks so freaking good. I still gotta paint correct it and ceramic coat it, but it looks phenomenal. Bunch of big things in this video. So let's take my Prelude that sounds like a diesel and let's go get some custom plates made. So I am very, very, very far behind on videos. Today is Friday. I still have a video from last Saturday that I haven't edited. Haven't edited my race footage where, as you guys saw, blew the bike up. So I gotta do all that. I don't know what made me think about that. This is a rough rundown of what the bobber is going to look like. I will be changing the seat, obviously, you know, cleaning up the wires a bit. But yeah, check this out. So my original thought for this bike was to go with some sort of emerald green, like a deep kind of low rider with gold flake. And then I was at Lowe's looking through their spray paint selection and I saw this color. Let me get the can for you guys. It's this Rust-Oleum metallic, brilliant metal finish. And I saw the flake in the cap. I'm like, that would look cool. So I bought it. And boy, oh boy, was I right. Okay, so when I got back from the machine shop, the guy had originally said that it would take about probably until Wednesday for him to finish it. He said that's just how long it's gonna take with the stuff he has to do. You know, he's got other jobs to do, right? Well, I just got a text from the girl who actually hooked me up with the machine shop. I believe it's her dad's shop. And she said, yeah, it's ready. You can come pick it up. Dude, it's been an hour and a half. I texted that. I'm like, it's ready? Like, I can go get it? And she goes, yeah, it's all done. He just did it. So instead of waiting until Wednesday, I'm now heading out an hour and a half later. That is how you get a repeat customer at a machine shop. So super excited, gonna go grab those plates. Yeah, I'm stoked. So I got the metal plates. Now they came out pretty dang good. A lot better than I would have been able to do with anything I have here. It's pretty simple, just a rectangle with that circle cut in it. And it's gonna sit just like that. So it'll reinforce, you know, the slightly sketchy frame that we have here, especially over here. So that'll reinforce it nicely. I have the caliper set up here. Gonna lay down some Duplicolor Caliper Enamel. I just alcoholed these calipers, as good as they're gonna get. I just don't need raw metal, they're gonna rust. I was gonna do black, but like everything else is getting painted black. So I need some color, need to change it up a little. Let's go ahead and spray these. Ignore the flashing lights in the background. I was painting a bunch of front motor accessories and just really everything that needs to be painted. Things like these brackets, the alternator bracket, which is now a nice shiny gloss black. And I was looking at it and I realized I don't want everything on the motor to be gloss black or whatever. It's not gonna look good, right? So what I'm doing is I'm giving it a little bit of contrast. I am probably gonna go black with this pulley here, the harmonic balancer and the pulley. But I'm gonna do the water pump in this flat protective enamel. It's like a gray. And I'm gonna do the pulley as well, the water pump and pulley. Gonna do both of those so there's some contrast. It's gonna look nice, clean, and fresh. And I'm gonna do the hardware, just whatever factory black colors, but this should look a lot better. Like I said, I just don't want everything to be black. It's not gonna look too good. So let's see how this comes out. This feels pretty clean. I guess we'll see what happens. So these are the patches that I had the machinist make. Now if you guys want to check him out, his information is on the screen now. He's in Rhode Island. Makes some pretty good stuff, nice fast turnaround, so I appreciate it. Good price as well. Has a nice new plasma machine. Does a bunch of different plastic mold injection stuff, all that. So make sure you check them out. This is what the final product looks like. Ended up cutting a little bit of the corner off and welding it onto the subframe here. As you can see, that is quite the upgrade right there. Actually solid. Now the only thing left on the subframe, besides modifying where the cross member bolts to, is these two little ears up here. Those are also just body mount areas, and as you can see, they're nice and crusty. So got two more mounts, going to weld them onto there. Now the calipers didn't come out fantastic. They didn't come out terrible at all. Still a little tacky. They're solid, they're good, they're painted. Not how I wanted. So it did come out decent. I just don't like Duplicolor or Krylon. Krylon's okay, Duplicolor's pretty trash. The water pump and pulley came out pretty dang good. That's with, I would hate to say it, but bare minimum prep, and it looks really solid. I don't really care about that little area right there not having any on it, because you're not going to see that. The pulley sits on top of that. So that's done. I got the transmission cleaned, the 4L80E that's going inside of it. Got it really good degrease. I use the super clean aerosol. This is the stuff you guys will win in the giveaway. Again, keep watching. I'll announce the winner very soon. So yeah, I use this stuff. I think it works better than the other stuff. It sprays really cool. But transmission's all clean. The only thing I have to tape up is these things just to be safe. I don't want to paint them and then have them get, like, you know, stuck. The breather, and then I got to do the electrical connections on this side, since again it's an electronic transmission, all digitally controlled. So I'm going to wheel this outside, put it on the ground probably, because it's sitting in a cart of grease right now, and I can only imagine that when I go to spray, it's going to bring the grease into the air and ruin it, as if it's going to get painted well anyway. But wheel this outside, put it on the ground, and get spraying. I'm going to use the same color I did the water pump, just a nice flat gray protective enamel. The trans has 3 coats of paint on it, and it looks spectacular comparatively. Let me get some of this tape off so you can get a slightly better idea. That connection's loose, so I should probably do something about that. So yeah, I taped off that little thing, but look at how much better it looks. All gray, not dirty, not greasy at all. It's about as good as it's gonna get, so I'm not complaining there. Finishing up the welds on the subframe, gonna pour 15 it, and then hopefully get my motor mounts bolted on and a bunch of other dumb stuff. So I just laid down the first of 2 coats on the fresh patches that are on the frame now. It looks pretty much factory. You can't even really tell they're there. Once this coat's dry, gonna lay down 1 more coat, and then once the second coat's dry, which will be sometime tomorrow, sand it, gonna spray paint it with my protective enamel, and then hopefully while that gets sanded and dried, this gets finished up, this gets pour 15'd, and then once this is done, what has to be done under here, let me show you guys the progress that's been made. So this was all welded here. Ignore the self-tappers. Again, that was just to hold everything together. Got the weld all the way down the middle there. Gotta finish welding these cross braces up. This one's pretty much done on this side. Gotta finish it on this side and finish the second one all the way across. Also have to play with this a little bit, get rid of the rest of the rust right here. Probably just chop it off and then weld it. Once that's all done, gotta pour 15 everything, and then seam seal all up in here on all of the seams, all up in here. And then once that's seam sealed, once that is all seam sealed, I can go ahead, can bolt the subframe on. And then once the subframe's bolted on, actually before the subframe's bolted on, I'm gonna put the subframe on the ground, pretty much leave it how it is, but just on the ground. Put my motor mounts on, and then mark out where my new cross member has to go for the 4L80E over here. Once I know, gonna drill some holes in the frame, make sure I can mount the transmission, and then pull it back out, stick the subframe on the car, motor and trans. I'm hoping to have that done by Sunday. Motor and trans in the car. That would be like a huge accomplishment, because like to actually see things start going back together in this car would be such a huge step forward. So, and let's see who wins. And it looks like Jeremiah, you're the winner with the comment of grease. So shout out Jeremiah. You're gonna get some super clean stuff sent over your way. You can clean that nice new F350 you got. Popped the pan off of the old small block here, dumped a little coolant on the ground, but just giving it a general inspection. I'm going to be taking the old oil pump off, switching it out for a high volume one, and painting the pan, replacing the gasket. Everything looks good in here. It is indeed the 4-bolt main that I was hoping it would be. And everything looks good. I don't see any egregious marks in any of the cylinder walls without rotating the motor, but everything looks to be in order in here, which is awesome. So I went out to O'Reilly's, picked up valve cover gaskets, oil pan gaskets, water pump gaskets, an oil filter. So that'll allow me to put my new valve covers on, which will be pretty cool. That'll allow me to put the oil pan on. Right now I got the pan off. Gonna clean it up. I'm actually gonna push it so it's completely in the shade. Gonna clean up the pan, obviously take the drain bolt out because I want it to, you know, look good. And I just gotta clean it up and paint it. So the oil pan with the fresh gasket is installed. I didn't fill it with oil yet, obviously still upside down with no valve covers. But I did put the filter on. I obviously oiled the rubber. Just wanted to seal it up. Now the pan came out decent. Obviously it's not perfect. There's a little scrape right here from when I was trying to put it on. But it's better than it was just because it had a mixture of paints on it. So it's pretty solid. And I didn't swap out oil pumps, primarily because I didn't realize how difficult, I don't want to say difficult, because I definitely could have done it, but how much of a pain it is to get the new pickup tube in the pump, and it's got to be at a specific angle for your specific pan. I didn't feel like fighting it. If the oil pressure reads terrible, or I notice it's not getting enough oil, then I'll obviously pull the motor back out and slap it in. It wouldn't really take that much time, but he ran it, and he was okay with running it before, so I'm not too scared at all. What I'm going to do now is clean up the gasket surface for the new valve covers. These are the old valve covers right here. A little bit crusty, kind of nasty. And these are the nice new valve covers. Taller, a lot cleaner, clean up a lot nice. It's mostly just fingerprints and grease on it. So these are going to look pretty baller sitting on top of that engine. So I took a pretty decent sized break from filming. Wanted to get some work done, didn't want to just keep recording. So last night, cleaned up the intake manifold and got it looking pretty decent. You'll also notice the nice new valve covers on here, the aluminum. They're much taller. They look super good comparatively. Got the alternator, the water pump, that's all bolted on. The belt's tight, the little brackets all painted. Water pump's painted. Got new gaskets behind there, so that's all set. One thing I noticed is this has like a little block off plug, so I don't have a heater right now. The car won't have heat. I can always change that. That should be relatively easy to fix, I think, because I think it's gonna probably go into the intake and here. Not fully sure on that. Tightened all the intake bolts because most of them are loose. Got new valve cover gaskets. Painted the oil pan with a nice new rubber gasket in there. All new hardware as well. It's not the best paint job I've done, and it's still obviously a little bit dirty, but it's good. I also found a cool little trick that I thought of. I rubbed some orange silicone, some RTV, inside the timing groove so it's easier to see. So that's pretty dope, but yeah, the motor is pretty much fully assembled, ready to go in. So I haven't made an update in this video in like 5 days. And let me show you guys, gonna go in the garage. So I took, again, another day. My camera lens is dirty. I took another day today, cleaned out the garage, even better than before, because now we got the workbench back. And on one of these days, I don't think I filmed it at all, but I put my new valve covers on, valve cover gasket, oil pan. Today I put the starter and the actual mounts on with some fresh hardware up in there. Got the alternator. I ended up painting the water pump gray. Did all the pulleys black on the alternator and painted the alternator fan gray. This is looking really good. Touched up some of the areas with some blue paint. As you can see, getting ready to jack it up. Trans is painted. And right now the current hypothesis for what I want to have done today, it's like, I don't know, 5 o'clock at night. It's 5:10. So I actually just bolted up the motor mounts with some freshly cleaned up and NEC's hardware. That's all torqued down. And we're gonna move this into the driveway, sort of prop it up as if it were going in the car. Put the motor and trans on this. Mark out where I have to drill for my new custom cross member. Mark out and drill it, actually do it. And then pour 15 my cross member. I hopefully will be able to use this one. This is what came out of the car. So hopefully I can use that cross member. And then after that, hopefully tomorrow, finish up the floors, start laying down some pour 15. And then once the pour 15 and seam sealer are dried, the whole motor, trans, and subframe gets bolted on. I'm hoping we can have that done pretty soon. So right now we're gonna put the motor and trans, we're gonna bring them out, put them together, hoist it up, and put it on the subframe, which is a huge step. So it took a little modification, but the engine is sitting, it's not bolted down, but you can see you got bolts on both mounts. Now we were fighting it last night where this mount would work. We had it bolted in different holes. There's like literally 80 bajillion holes to mount it to. And we couldn't get this one to line up. So what I ended up doing instead was bolting this mount to the regular holes from the factory, getting it on, and then pivoting on that. I figured out where this mount wanted to sit, marked it, drilled some holes, and made my own holes for the mount. Looks good, looks nice and straight. So the next battle would be the trans cross member. So I can make a custom cross member. And again, I'm dry fitting all this with the frame out of the car because this would have sucked with the frame in the car, if not been impossible. So, took the factory cross member, realized it's going to be bolted about here instead of here. So moved it back a little bit. Now, the trans is only about 3 inches longer, but the factory mount on the Turbo 350 is like here, whereas here it's on the very, very end. So what I did was I took this cross member right here. I actually cut this little tab off, the piece the trans actually mounts to, and welded it on the other side of the cross member. So now it'll sit something like this underneath the trans. It'll all line up. Marked that all off, tacked it, and then laid some weld. It ain't pretty weld, but it's held on. So that's all set. What I'm gonna do now is make sure it works one last time. Drill the holes in the frame, make sure I can bolt it all up. And then we're gonna finish welding the floors while that dries with pour 15 on it. Take the motor back out, bolt the frame in, and then drop the motor and trans in, hoping the trans clears the tunnel. And then I have to measure for the custom drive shaft. But the plan is, at least at the latest by tomorrow, have that pour 15 at least where I have to get the frame in, and then have the motor, trans, cross member, all that made up, bolted onto the car. That's the plan. Let's see if we can do it. Next step is to drill some holes for that and make sure we can mount it. So I was just about to mount up the subframe. Obviously got the engine and trans back off. Custom cross members done but not painted. Gonna pour 15 it later. Decided to start mounting this up now. Gonna finish all of the floor welding around this and then pour 15 around the frame. I really just want to get this with the engine and trans mounted so I can get the engine and trans out of the garage, but also so I can actually start to see some progress, visualize the end product. And right here, the way this whole frame is mounted, you have a bushing underneath with a washer, and then there's like 3 parts. There's bushing 1, 2, and 3, and this is bushing number 2, I want to say. And there's a little square nut that's supposed to be held in place by a metal cage. It's not, but the bolts that came with it, I had nice Galvy bolts like this, and they just weren't long enough. They only came up to about here, couldn't get any threads on. So I went and picked up some of the nice grade 8 Galvy bolts and painted everything in anti-seize. Even the bushing is anti-seized, all the metal, everything is anti-seized. This will never be a problem for me again. And I just wanted to show off those fresh Galvy bolts because those just look absolutely saucy. Got the 2 front ones up, so technically the car would hold the frame up, but 2 more in the back I gotta do. Those nuts are held in with cages, so really all I gotta do is just anti-seize the hardware, send it up in, torque her down, throw the bushings in, and then theoretically the frame is all set. And then I have to lower the car down off those jack stands, put some blocks under here, put the engine and trans in, and put a scissor jack underneath the trans because that cross member's got to get pour 15. She's not going in tonight, and I got to get a new trans mount because the one that's on the 4L80 is shot. This is exactly how I wanted to end this video. Custom cross members in the back holding the trans up in addition to a scissor jack, just for now to be sure, because I didn't bolt in the cross member. I still got to pour 15 it. Just wanted that extra support. The motor is in. I didn't bolt it down, but the bolts are through. So this is the redone pour 15, all, custom subframe with custom drilled holes for the motor mounts and the reinforcement plates on the 4 mounting points. This is the new engine. It's got like 70,000 miles. It's new to me, and it's held up in the car, which is impressive. And there's no clearance issues besides maybe a hood, but run it hoodless. With the distributor in the back on Pontiac motors, they're in the front. That was a concern, in addition to the 4L80E being a much larger transmission. Fits pretty well inside the trans tunnel in there, so no clearancing has to be done, thank God, because those are brand new floors, and I don't know if I have the gut to go and hit them with a hammer. So everything seems to be working. It took a little bit of finessing, a little bit of tweaking, but she's in, and now there's just a little bit more work to do. So I'm gonna end this video here. Got a ton of work done. The floors aren't completely finished. Needs a little bit more welding and some pour 15. We got the motor in. We got the frame completely finished. Bolted on with brand new bushings, brand new grade 8 hardware, all anti-seized and all that. Still got to check the torque specs, but enough Ugga Duggas with the impact and she's alright. The motor has the new valve covers, valve cover gaskets, oil pan gaskets, painted pulleys, painted water pump, painted oil pan, new oil filter, which doesn't matter, of course. Yeah, I got a bunch of new stuff on that. It's coming along great, so yeah. Ton of progress made. If you guys like this video and you want to see more like it, you guys can watch the playlist on the Firebird. Have all the videos of me struggling to build it so far, and don't worry, there'll be plenty more struggling. So if you like that idea and you want to see that, be sure to subscribe with that notification bell on. If you guys like this video, be sure to hit that like button. Comment down below what you guys are working on for project cars, and if you've ever done an engine swap. This is less of an, I don't want to say it's less of an engine swap because there's nothing that I haven't had to do if I was going to swap any other car. It's custom motor mounts. The motor didn't go in the same it came out, so it's my first real engine swap. If you guys have ever done one, comment down below. But like I said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Told my brothers one day we gon' make it. We just gotta grind for that paycheck. Mama told me one day I'll be famous. Remember when she used to say she hate this. Back then they would laugh when I say shit. Now I'm inside all them people's playlists. So one day I'll be stomping.